How's it going, Keegan?
Good, good. How are you?
Excellent. Already recording. Today we got Keegan Brown for the ericswan.com. I'm sorry, I said it wrong. ericswanracing.com podcast. I think it's number 74 already. So you are the second time on here. You're a second time. So I think
Yep,
it was number 33. So it's been about a year or so.
yep, yep.
So what's been new with you lately?
Uh, to be honest, not much. This season has not gone to plan at all for Keegan Brown Racing. We started off strong. We got with a team that we really thought had a lot of potential with me. But there's just some connection issues and some sponsorship issues, and I ended up back at square one pretty soon. So yeah, I mean, we just after the first round of Moto America, well, the second round, the first round for me, we lost in the sponsor game, so we just ran out of money and ran out of a ride. So we're sitting out. We set out this season. I got some time to train and really think about what I want to do. But the upcoming season actually seems really good. We got talking to a couple different teams. We're working with Auto Parts for Less, who is now the title sponsor of Moto America, which is a great relationship. So yeah, just gotta keep your head up. Rough seasons will come and better ones will come. So yeah, we're,
And
we're,
yeah, you
we're
can't
excited about it.
you can't feel bad about it because there are superbike pros who've been in it for a decade. You got to look at people like Jason DeSalvo or Elena Myers. Huge names that don't have rides anymore because whatever reason, sponsorship backed out, Triumph stopped going, and people lose rides. So I mean, that's why I'm not racing as well at the moment. But I've taken a step back, and I am now racing cheaper motorsports for the meantime until I can build up my business until I sell enough. But I've been doing mountain bike racing as we talked about before, mountain bike
Yeah.
racing, the go-karting, the sim racing, still doing all that. And I just started doing being a track marshal. So for
Oh,
people
nice.
18 or older, they can go to the track and work as a corner worker, a track marshal, flagging and communicating with race control, which is pretty cool. You don't have to have any special skills. You just have to be able to walk and run if you're doing catch. But there's a lot of people, like I'm a young guy, I'm 29 right now, so I'm the guy usually picking up the bikes at the side of the track in the danger zone sometimes,
Yeah.
instead of a lot of the older folks will just be in the little pagoda that they have sometimes and just be waving the flags because they can't run or maybe they might be overweight or whatever. So there's a lot of different positions available. And just been lately, today and this week, I've been working on Revit motorcycle gear and apparel. They're a major brand. They're a MotoGP. I'm sure you've heard of them with the kind of
Yeah.
like a triangle logo that they got. I've been working on that brand. I sell Revit now. So suits, boots, and jackets, gloves, pants, socks. It's amazing. They have windbreakers and cooling gear and so much stuff. It's like 400 parts. Because you got to think every single jacket now has 3 sizes and 18 sizes per, not 18, but maybe 6 or 7 different sizes per color. So for one jacket could be like 30, 40 parts.
Yeah.
Oh, but I heard that you actually went to Italy and did some riding over there. So I want to hear about that.
Yeah. So actually a funny story. I've been racing for 9 years this year, I believe. And I was just messing around on LinkedIn, and I saw some stuff coming up about this electric scooters, and my generation is like everything's electric, so I'm fine with it. I actually like the idea of moving on with electric motorsports. It's just cool to me. It's the future.
Yeah.
And so I just started following them a little bit, and it got to be a big thing, and they posted, they were looking for people to test and potentially come racers in this new league of e-scooters. And so we threw my name in there just for fun, and I got accepted. And a couple months after that, I'm in Italy racing electric scooters, which is awesome. Those things are amazing. and hopefully I'll be invited back.
So what kind of machines were they? What brand and the CCs, or how does that work for power? Is it watts?
Um, I believe it is watts, but I am definitely not the right person to ask about that. What I can say though is the scooters themselves were built by Williams F1 and I think
Okay.
Wycom, and they work together. And power wise, it's I think 20 horsepower per wheel, and it's front wheel drive, which is a whole new thing to learn for me. But they are insane machines. Sorry about the list, but I have a lot going on in my mouth right now. I got an expander.
Hey, no worries. We all went through that at some point. I had braces and a retainer. You know, I had the wires going through your teeth up and down, and now I have pretty good teeth. I just ate a sandwich, so maybe I got food in my teeth.
Yeah,
Um,
I got. Sadly, my genes did not work for my teeth at all. So I'm going through all that right now, which is fun.
yeah, it's usually pretty painful, right? Your mouth hurts and it feels like it's cutting you up.
Yeah, it's definitely not fun, that's for sure.
But when it's all said and done, you look beautiful
That's the plan.
or handsome, whatever, which one.
Yeah, yeah. The whole e-scooter thing is really impressive, and I'd love to get back on one of those things. It is an insane experience.
So pretty fast. You're looking at like 40 horsepower or so, you say, and it's front wheel drive, which is pretty unique.
Front and rear
Front and rear,
actually.
so it's two-wheel drive. Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
They are little rocket ships.
it's funny what people don't know. I just talked to someone recently. I don't want to mention who it was, but they said to me, I didn't realize that motorcycles were only rear-wheel drive. It's like, well, how does you think a bicycle moves?
Right.
Right? It's the same thing. It's just got an engine. But people don't know a lot of that stuff. So I'm here
Yeah.
trying to help people learn about the sport and talk to interesting guys like you.
Yeah, it's impressive how little people know about motorsports and motorcycles in general. To me, it's been my entire life. So whenever I talk to someone about it and they don't get it, I just don't understand. Like
So tell
since I
me,
could,
what's something that you learned recently about racing?
uh, the most recent thing, I've not really been racing a lot, I've been riding, but the most recent thing is to just keep your head up. Because I mean, that that whole Motor America situation and team situation, money situation was a ton. I mean, we went in with a lot of expectations and a lot of hope, and we just got beat down so fast. So I mean, you gotta keep your head up, keep moving. It's a lot, but here we are. We're still here. We're still racing.
Still fighting?
Still
Seems like
fighting.
you're trying to get back into it. And
Oh yeah.
you did do a pro round or two, right?
I did the VIR round.
And you want to talk about that one? How that went, or how'd you ride, or how'd you improve throughout the weekend?
As much as I'd love to say it went amazing and it was love at first sight, it did not go good at all. Um, I had actually gotten a chance to ride my team bike. I think the week before we went to VIR, or the weekend, maybe two. I don't know, but I got on the bike. It was a little bit cold, and I ended up throwing it in the dirt actually twice. Um, and that just really tore down my confidence. I never had a chance to get back on the bike and kind of rebuild everything I'd done. And that was my first time on the bike, so that was the setup, and I
Yeah.
just didn't get to get that stuff done. So I went to VIR, pretty much completely reset. So I had no confidence. I wasn't sure about the bike. New team, new everything, new paddock, new faces. So I mean, I went out, and as much as I hate to say it, I was in the back, well into the back. And I was, I mean, seconds off my pace on a way worse bike. So, I
So you
mean,
had been to that track before. You knew the layout.
oh yeah, I mean, I grew up, I'm in North Carolina. I'm an hour away from VIR. So
Okay,
like I
not
grew
far
up
at
at
all.
that track. Yeah. And I I had ridden there on my personal 400 the season before last, and I can't remember the lap times off my face or off my head. Like I can't. I think Junior Cup runs 37s, 36s. The lead guys. I was running 39s, 38s on a club 400, which is not bad. And
Yeah.
I think I got there on that bike with no confidence and was above 40.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that goes to show how much it's confidence. Because you can have the best bike in the world, and if you're not feeling it, nothing you can do.
And were you comfortable with those tires? Because, Motor America runs a spec tire.
Me personally, I love the Dunlops. Like even outside of pro racing, if I'm racing a club event on the 400s, I'll run Dunlops easy. I like my tires hard. I grew up on scooter tires, so
Yeah.
it doesn't really affect me.
Very good. And so have you been doing any amateur rounds since that one, or how you been training lately?
We've tried to hit a couple CCS rounds, but we had to sell our personal bikes to help fund that year, and of course that all went to pot. So we haven't been doing as much as I want. I've been cycling a little bit, riding in parking lots, doing some mini track events, but mainly I'm just trying to stay in shape. But I do believe we're getting a 400 soon, hopefully. So then maybe I can start getting back into the cycle and get to where I really need to be for this season.
Yeah. And you ever think about trying to raise money through coaching or being a coach or a motorsports director, or however you want to call it?
That's actually one of my goals. I'd love to at one point start helping kids and teaching kids. As of right now, though, I just don't see that I have the skill set to really help like and teach a kid everything they need to know safely. Also, I want to get my name out and stuff first before I try to do anything crazy, because I don't want to end up some dude in the parking lot trying to teach kids how to ride motorcycles. I want to be that guy that you can go to learn. Does that make sense?
Sure, that makes sense. I always just think about getting started before you think you're all ready, because you are already faster than probably 95% of all street riders in the world, which
Yeah.
is something to say. Like there's always levels. Like there's a really famous female rider, Red Spade. You probably heard of her. She's huge on
Oh,
Instagram. Anna Rigby, and she claims that she is not a professional by any means. But yeah, she's been doing it for, I don't know, 15, 20 years or something. And so she's been at the track. She maybe not racing a whole lot, but track days, really, really good, confident track day rider. And, there's levels. She has a huge place to teach new incoming riders, maybe not professionals, but so there's always a place for, I think, you to be.
yeah, yeah. Now, I'd love to do that, and I thought about it a lot. Just right now, I'm gonna at least get back into the swing of things before I start doing too much. But yeah, I'd love to help anyone out. Like me and my dad actually ran NCMEZP a couple years ago, so I'm open to it. I love working with new riders. It's actually really enjoyable.
Yeah, I just got the idea. Somebody reached out to me. I'm not a coach. I probably could be, but somebody reached out to me and asked me if I coach, and wanted some instruction. So I'm like, huh. I mean, that could be kind of cool. I think it'd be awesome to be paid to help someone do what you do a little bit closer to that, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is a dream job for sure.
And so this particular instance was somebody who was going to take video footage, and then we were going to talk about it. I don't think I was going to go to the racetrack. It was just he was going to go to the track, and then I would critique the footage afterwards, and give feedback and talk to him over the phone or maybe through a Zoom call or something like that. So even if you don't have a bike, because I don't own a motorcycle right now, unfortunately. So I would have to either borrow a bike, would be probably too expensive to go ride with them, or do a video or virtual.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's one way. So you just been training, been doing any supermoto?
Well, I really haven't had a supermoto bike. That's the main issue. I'd love to, because I have 3 hour cart right up the road pretty much, but we just lack a bike.
Sure.
That's our main issue. I got a mini bike right now in my garage. That's it for now. That's what I've been doing, just hitting up parking lots.
50cc?
85 actually. We're working with Corsa Moto for trying to keep their name out a little bit more in the US of A.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a kart track a couple miles from my house. A lot of the guys take those 50s and 88s to, it looks like a lot of fun, a polished concrete surface. Everybody's falling over.
Oh yeah. I'd love to try that one day.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. It's like every other week. When I get a bike, I want to be doing that for sure too. And for this one, you can rent a bike for like $80 a day. Not too bad. So yeah, just you've been following up with the racing seasons.
Yeah, I've been paying attention a lot. I mainly just watch Moto America nowadays since that's what I'm trying to do, but I follow GP and all that stuff.
Yeah. Um, Pretty excited for next year with all the new moving around of people in the silly season. I just heard that Fabio Quartararo asked for $20 million from Yamaha.
Hmm.
I mean, it sounds like a crazy amount of money, but how much do baseball players get paid? And that's only in the States. That's not a national or international world championship. Yes, you might say baseball in the U.S. is where it's at in the world, but it's still not a world championship. And they're making that kind of money, right?
As far as I know, I'm not a baseball guy at all.
For sure. So yeah, anything on your mind?
Nothing much. I mean, honestly, after what happened last season, we've just been trying to stay afloat. And I mean, we got so beat down that we had to really think about if I wanted to pursue doing this as my main career. But here we are. We're still fighting. Huge plans for next season. I think it's going to be a good season. I hope. Fingers crossed.
So for this coming 2022,
Yeah.
and can you release any of those plans, or are they all still under wraps?
Honestly, I don't even know yet. So we're talking with some teams. I can't say their names because you know how that goes, but we're talking to some teams, but we're also talking about trying to go at it alone because we've had some experiences that are, you know, it's hard to choose between having a team behind you or just going with what you know. So yeah, I honestly don't know yet. So it'll come. We're just fingers crossed right now.
For sure. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a big opportunity to always go to a team, but then you got to pay for it right out of pocket. Whether if you do it yourself, you might not have to pay the crew as much, and you have your own rig, right? So you got a trailer that you could use. And, I mean, it definitely helps to have that knowledge base or like 3 years of coming here, that data and all the setup. But I mean,
That's our biggest thing. I mean, me and my dad are not mechanics or technicians by any means. We've just been at it ourselves, and the bikes really have not gotten complicated until this last year. Like little mini bikes are not hard to work on. Everything's simple, and 400s to a certain extent are not that difficult to deal with. But when you get to those little tiny changes and adjustments, it's insane. So to have that backing is really important, but also we've thought of trying to learn the nicks of it too, but it's a hard choice.
for sure. And how many crew members do you normally bring to a race? Is it just your dad, yourself, and maybe a couple other people?
For club events, when it's just like our team, Keegan Racing, it'll just be my dad and me pretty much, unless we have some friends or my sister or mom come. It's pretty much just me and my dad.
Okay, yeah. And then somebody's got to bring out the generator to the grid and all the stands and all that stuff.
Well, for Moto America, we'll have at least 4 people. I think that's required anyway if you want to have a team, but I'm really hoping, and I think the plan is to be with a team for next year. That I hope, but you never know. You never know.
For sure. Staying with the 400, I assume, what is the age requirement for the 600? Is that 16, you think?
I think it moved to 15 last year.
Okay, and how old are you now?
14.
14, so you got a little bit longer.
Yeah, a little bit. I think I'll be able to ride at the end of this season. But our focus is on Junior Cup. I at least want to get 2 good seasons in Junior Cup before I think about anything else. But honestly, if Twins Cup keeps growing and keeps getting more competitive, that might be the most knowledgeable next step. I don't know yet.
It seems like it's definitely a step up from the Junior Cup, obviously, but it's not such a big step going to the now modified 600 class.
Yeah, that's the only reason I had cold feet about Twins Cup was it was so small last season and all the bikes were so different. Like it just didn't seem developed yet. But now there's some bigger teams in it and it's way more competitive and the bikes are getting a lot more tuned in and similar to where it's not such big gaps between manufacturers. So yeah, I honestly don't know. I don't know what our plans are past this next season.
For
So,
sure. Yeah, everything happens so fast and things change. It's hard to know. And I mean, you
right.
can have goals, but it's hard to like plan 5 years ahead when you don't know what's happening next year.
Exactly.
For me, I'm just trying to save my money, not trying to spend anything, and make as much as possible, which is always a good plan, right? And
Yeah.
but if I can continue doing that, then hopefully I'll just get into supermoto to start again, or the minis, because that's really cheap. But maybe mountain biking next year, some foot races. I'd like to focus on my fitness and make that a priority. You know, it's hard when you're running a business and doing a podcast to also
Yeah.
focus on your fitness and all these other things you're juggling. So, yeah, just trying to stay on top of it, just like you're saying, is sometimes a struggle.
Yeah.
For sure. I've been playing this new game, Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's like a esports online
Yeah.
simulator game. I'm trying to finish out the track competency where you get 3 stars in every single track. I'm one star away from a full 100% right now. So I just got to get the new Zandvoort. It's not a familiar track for me, so I'm not too good with it yet.
Are you interested in any of that esports stuff or iRacing, I guess?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I haven't done the iRacing, but I'm trying to do some of the esports stuff, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just
I've
really
actually
competitive.
I've actually talked a lot about doing the iRacing stuff. I mean, to me that just seems like the perfect job. You can race from your house and still get paid.
You should definitely do that, and it would make you a better racer, I think.
Yeah, we're working with some people on trying to find something for like virtual racing for bikes, but it's so difficult. Like there's no good physics software, whatever you want to call it, that's really going to capture the feeling of riding or controlling the motorcycle. So it's just difficult. But I'd still like I grew up around engines, period. I love cars. So even the iRacing and stuff is amazing to me and I'd love to get into it.
And do you have a setup at home?
I wish. I have an Xbox in front of me and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, if you can figure out a way to get one of those, that'd be awesome. Even some of the Logitechs. I started with a
Yeah.
Logitech. I think mine was defective. It broke a couple of weeks later, and I upgraded to one of the better ones. The Fanatic is one I chose.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard of that.
Those are great, but they're not super cheap. You could probably buy a motorcycle for the cost of one of them. So
Yeah, everything's so expensive nowadays, especially after COVID too.
for sure, and they're flying off the shelf because everybody's at home now. And like
Yeah.
I bought one because it could save me on a typical amateur season. You're spending what, $20,000-$30,000 or so, depending on how many events you're doing and how many tires you're going through.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of money. If you buy a couple $1,000 sim racer, you got that for hopefully 10, 15 years. I mean, maybe not that long, but who knows?
Yeah. The biggest thing about that stuff is there's so much new stuff coming out. So sometimes you just have to upgrade.
I mean, they still have like Atari and like N64. That stuff doesn't usually break. It's just
Yeah. It just kind of
just
gets out.
yeah. Isn't that funny how we still have N64s and like my PlayStation 3, I've all broken.
Yeah. I, I've I really haven't I haven't been much of a, I guess you call it, gamer. I kind of grew up outside. I mean, I've had that kind of stuff, but it's not my main focus.
Yeah, I did a lot as a kid, but now I try to stick to like once or twice a week.
Yeah, that's that's one of my issues. That COVID and everything kept us inside so much. I think I've definitely put on a couple COVID pounds.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
with sitting out this season, I mean, you can stay fit in a parking lot, but and even if you like work out a lot and run and do mountain biking, when you're on a track and during a sprint, it's like always a different feeling, and it's like straining different muscles. So it's really difficult to stay fit when you're not riding like all the time. It's a very specific set of muscles, I feel like, that you're working out when you're racing versus when you're, doing stretches or running or pedaling.
Yeah, it's a different type of fitness for sure.
Yeah.
So you've been training. So tell me about your training, your physical working out.
Um, Working out, like I haven't like been to a gym a lot, like mainly because it's really hard to find any gyms around me that will let me work out being 14. But I've been running a lot. Cycling has been a big deal since we finally got a hold of one of those things. Running, cycling, the basic stuff, push-ups, sit-ups, just stuff to keep me enough in shape to where if I wanted, or if I had to go ride an endurance race or a legit race, I wouldn't be, dying by the end of it. But it's definitely, once I get this bike, I'm gonna have to stay on it a lot if I want to stay to where I need to be or get to where I need to be before Motor America season starts.
Yeah, and you doing like indoor cycling on a trainer or outdoor?
Right now it's just outdoor, and I right now I have a gravel bike, and we have a nice, pretty hard off-road trail that I go to. I think it's a 7 mile loop, and I'll just do laps around that. But I really want one of those trainers. That to me is really cool. I'd love to have one of those.
You thinking about some rollers or like a stationary?
Probably just some rollers.
Okay, where you're riding on top of them.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I got some rollers in my bedroom, and I got a wall on one side and my bed on the other. So if I fall, I'm not really gonna fall anywhere.
yeah,
It's pretty nice. It's a lot more effort and a lot more work than just a stationary bike. That's for sure. You have like, I don't know, 12 or 18 inches wide of space, then that's it. It's not very much space to maneuver back and forth and balance and, but I like that because you go back outside and then you can ride pretty much in a straight line forever because you're so used to um,
yeah, yeah.
riding tighter like that. Um, so yeah, do you use Strava to keep track of all your workouts?
Yeah, I used to a lot for running, but I've been using it for cycling a lot too.
Yeah, I like using that. I've been using that for years. Probably logged, I don't know, 9,000 miles in that so far.
I have a bad habit of using it to track, and then when I get done, I just delete the thing. I need to start posting it so I can actually keep track. But yeah, I keep tracking it, and then I'll look out and be like, oh, cool, and delete it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so I
It
don't
gives
know.
you so much data. It's like you get the elevation. I wear a heart rate
Yeah,
monitor, which is just my watch. So I get the heart rate stuff. And sometimes if you have your cadence sensors hooked up, you can get your bike pedaling. Um, it's and then you can see your sectors. So if you actually save it, you can see if it's a popular segment, like if you go around a lake or at a park near your house, there probably be dozens of different sectors that other people make that you can happen to just ride over or run through, and it'll pick it up and say you are ranked, 50th out of 100 people or wherever you happen to be with your pace that day. And so you can see broken down by age groups and gender, um, and all these different things, weight classes, who is the fastest on what day based on who you're following or all people or just this year. So you can really see, well, am I going faster this section or do I need to step it up?
nice.
So I like that. I'm a data guy, a numbers person. So if I see like, oh, you are top 10 out of 400 people, I'm like, all right, that was good. It makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah,
Or the opposite, like, oh, I need to step it up. I was like in the 40th percentile. That's not good. I gotta go way faster.
yeah. I need to start paying attention a little bit more to that stuff.
I like it. It's motivating because you can go out and do all your training, but You come home and you see what you did. You're like, oh wow. If you do matched rides, so if you do a ride that's very similar to the last one in the shape or the where you went, the course, it'll say you went like 3 minutes faster. It keeps track of that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's pretty intuitive. And I actually have one of those dashboards on my bicycle. So it's like a Wahoo GPS dashboard. So I can see when I go through a sector, it'll say, hey, you have 200 meters till sector, whatever it's called. And then once you get on that, it in real time says you are ahead by 3 seconds or you're behind, and it'll give you these gaps. So just like when you're on the racing game, when you see your sector times go up and down, you can be like, oh, I need to push, or I'm so close to it. Why don't I just push a little harder and I'll get a personal record, which is kind of fun to have.
Nice.
So I haven't been riding a whole lot this year, but I like riding a lot. And for the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, I've been doing at least 1,000 miles a year. That's the first one I didn't get 1,000 miles. I got like 500 or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't much this year either, really.
And my brother is going to be doing 2 triathlons next year. I think one in Utah and in May, I want to say, and then one in Alaska in August.
Nice.
So that'll be like the 140-mile Ironmans, and it'll be around 13 hours, I think, is his goal. But it depends. Every track is different, the elevation and the sea level. So it depends on how far you can go, how fast you can go. So I did one triathlon in 2012. That was it was like a timed event though. It wasn't the full distance. It was like a pool, swim, bike, stationary bike, and treadmill run. Not in that order usually, and it's in the normal order, but it was pretty cool. I'd do it again. I'd like to do the sprint version. It's very doable. It's probably help you out for your training too. Imagine if you could do a triathlon by the time you get back to affording motorcycle racing, you kick everybody's ass.
Yeah, I'd like to get some competitions and that stuff like that.
Because for me, like having a 5K, that's a cheap race. You could have something to look forward to. Do like one event a quarter or a month or however you wanted to space it out. Like I did one year, I did a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, maybe another 5K in there throughout the summer. And that's kind of fun because I'm not a huge track runner, so it's a good workout for me and somewhere I can improve. Yeah, so I mean, we could talk about anything. What was on your list you wanted to talk about? Do you remember anything you wrote down in that?
I'd be lying if I said I did. We've had a lot going on this past week.
And it's almost Christmas. It's December 21st. What do you got planned for the holidays?
I think our family's just gonna keep it nice and calm. This whole year has been crazy for us, so we're just gonna keep it with our. I live with my grandma right now, so I think we're just gonna have a nice dinner and open all the gifts and kind of just hang out.
Nice. You guys play any like board games, or what's the normal traditions?
Yeah, we're not really a board game family. I think we'll probably watch whatever is on and then hang out, tell stories, I guess.
Eat some pie, ice cream, and all that.
Oh yeah, can't miss out on that.
Is there anything you're looking forward to giving or receiving this year?
I don't know yet. Can't
It's all,
spoil the gifts, you know.
it's all a mystery. Yeah,
Yeah.
very good. Yeah, just looking forward to the holidays and just trying to get everything ready. I got everything wrapped. I got a couple of things for the family members, and yeah, I got something good that I think they're gonna like. So should be good Christmas, good holidays.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
For sure. Have you been on any other podcasts since we spoke? Or have you been podcasting it up?
I believe there's been a lot. I believe I've been on, I think, 2 or 3. One with Matt Wolf, I believe, and then Brendan Sports Talk. I remember those two. There's been a lot. We've really had to step up our game with talking to businesses and other just companies, and so we've been talking to a lot of people. It's hard to keep track, but I believe I've been on 2 other podcasts.
And tell me about those. How would those go for you?
Good, nice people. I love doing podcasts. I love talking a lot. And now it's kind of difficult because I got all this crap in my mouth, but I like just having conversations with people. There's tons of different people to meet in the racing community. So yeah, it's been nice. The talking to people side of the season has been really nice, but the riding has seen better times.
It sounds like people are reaching out to you and checking out how you're doing.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good people this season, and I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of more people.
For sure. And how's your dad doing? He was in the last one, but he didn't make an appearance this time, which is fine. It's good to talk to, the main rider as well.
Yeah, he's doing great. He's been with me through all of this. He's actually been doing a lot. Because I mean, Keegan Racing has gotten a lot bigger in the last year, so he's pretty much managing that with having all of his adult stuff. I don't know, all this other stuff to do, and he's obviously working too. So it's definitely hard on him, but he's still trucking along, and hopefully this season he'll get a little bit of a break if we're able to be with the team.
Very good. Yeah. I didn't have any bullet points, so I got nothing written down over here. We can just talk about whatever.
Yeah, I wish I had more to talk about, but this season has not gone to plan, that's for sure.
Are there any tracks you're looking forward to riding when you get back into it? There's the Ridge is a new one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that track, and Brainerd's another one that they're doing new. And there's also those tracks I've never been to, like Laguna Seca is definitely a bucket list track for me. I think we're doing Coda. I think we're doing that. That might be like towards the beginning of the season. I'm not sure yet. I know they usually test there, but I think there might be an actual round. So I'm looking forward to that. But other than that, I just need to get those tracks to learn them because I am behind.
I talked to Dustin Coiner on here not too long ago. He's a track days organizer. He runs the track days out there in the West Coast for like Willow Springs and Laguna Seca. And they run CRA out there. And he invited me to ride and race the track with CRA. They're having their first amateur race out there with motorcycles in like 40 years. So nice. I'm sure you'd be invited if you're interested in going out there. Just the problem is it's a little far away, and you gotta either bring a bike with you, which is now you got a trailer and you can't fly, or you're gonna fly out there and rent a bike, which is also an opportunity. They have Ride Like a Pro offers bikes for rental. I'm like, man, I gotta price that out. I should talk to that guy on here and see how much it costs to rent a bike, because they rent bikes for racing and track days.
Yeah, we're actually looking into riding a little bit more over in the West. We've gotten invited to go ride, I think I can't remember what track it was at, but we've gotten invites to go ride a little bit. The problem is just it's so much money to get over there and ride, and borrowing bikes for me, especially when I used to have my own bike, I like to stay on it. I hate messing with other people's bikes. I'm always worried I'm going to crash them, but I guess when it's paid for, it's not so big of a worry. But yeah, we're looking into it. I'd love to get over and ride with someone like that over there. But yeah, time will tell, I guess.
Heck yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun to be able to do that for sure. But yeah, I mean, Laguna is just such a historic track. There's so much history there. It'd be pretty cool to check that one off the list.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe make a pass in the chicane or the corkscrew in the gravel by accident.
By accident.
Oh man. I want to get your thought on track limits. There's been a lot of recent developments in track limits because, for safety, there's a lot more runoff. But when you have paved runoff, that means that now race control has to determine if you made an advantage or not. Do you think it should go back to gravel traps everywhere, or do you like having the runoff and having to deal with race control?
I like gravel traps. I honestly have not been at too many tracks in all the years I've raced where there's even been a paved runoff. So gravel traps are near and dear to my heart. As much as I hate them, that's all I know. So a bunch of new fancy schmancy rules, I don't like it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you,
you
if
know,
you
it causes new problems that you haven't really had before.
right, like it's bad enough that I ran off. Now I gotta do a bunch of math, figure out how far behind I am because of that penalty.
Yeah. And I remember there was a time at my second ever race weekend at Black Hawk Farms, there was no paved runoff. It was all grass, but one of the guys went off and in one of the corners, and just the nature of the track, he came right back on and right in front of a pack, and like it was kind of a dangerous re-entry. I was like, how did he stay in front of everybody and not have to give anything up? Like that wasn't cool. And when you have all this paved runoff, yeah, it saves injuries for sure, but it creates just different problems.
Yeah, I mean you're always gonna have a problem like that. So you just gotta choose which set of problems you want. So,
Yeah, I like not hitting walls
yeah, that's yeah. I think it's pretty fun not to be on the ground.
for sure. Um, yeah, and I wanted to talk about just your bike setup. You know, you got all these different parts on your bike, even though it's a stock machine. Um, for people who don't know what the difference in a stock off the showroom and a stock machine that you can race, what are some of the parts that you can put on them?
Well, for me, on the 400s, getting a bike from street to track or even professional racing is not as bad as people think. It's a very intimidating thing to do, but it's when you sit down and look at it, it's not terrible. The main thing about any bike, no matter what cc or what size, is ergonomics and suspension. Like if you cannot go to a track day or a race with stock suspension, it's just not going to work out. It's too squishy. It's made for bumps. You know, it's made for straight lines and bumps. But that's the main thing. The first thing we do when we get any bike is make sure that it's got a good set of springs, or if it needs shocks or forks or whatever, because that's the main thing. Suspension is huge. I mean, it's almost all of what you need to go fast. It's all suspension. But then obviously after suspension, handlebars, foot pegs, because everything's positioned differently. Even for 400s, our handlebars are lower and our foot pegs, I think, are higher actually once we get them all set up for racing. So suspension and handlebars and foot pegs, so you get in the right position, and a good set of tires. You don't need slicks to race. I mean, of course, if you're racing a stock series, you're going to need the tire that they run. But I mean, I'm a Dunlop kid, so I know Q3s, Q4s, Q3 pluses. Those are amazing tires, and they're not expensive at all. They're really not. I mean, I had to come off slicks and go to DOT tires for um, Yamaha Champ School, and I loved them. I mean, they didn't feel much different. And that's Dunlop. Obviously, other tires are going to feel a little bit different, but DOT tires are not that bad, and they all the manufacturers make great setups for entry riders. So yeah, it's not that bad to set up a bike. I mean, it's just intimidating, and I think suspension and ergonomics and a good set of tires is all you need. You don't need some F3 motor. You're just fine.
Yeah.
You just gotta set it up right.
And even your foot pegs from the OEM, from the stock parts, if you were to take those around the track, I mean, you could, but you wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
achieve the lean angles necessary for full lean anyways.
To have a comfortable, fun, and safe ride, you want everything to be set up right, and stock just isn't the way to go if you're going to ride a track.
You'd be dragging your feet, you're dragging your foot pegs.
Yeah, I
I'm
found
still
that
dragging my foot pegs, even with the aftermarket one, but it's
yeah,
way less.
dragging a foot peg on a sports bike is scary. I've only ever done it once, and it was on the 400. And it doesn't sound like much, but 400 foot pegs are surprisingly hard to drag. Yeah, that was a pucker moment for sure.
What do you think max lean angle is on a 400? Is it? I know MotoGP is like what 62 or something, but that's MotoGP. Superbike maybe high 50s.
I honestly don't know. 400s, they can actually get down pretty low, even though it doesn't seem like it. There's definitely a limit, but they can get pretty low. I just don't have a number on it.
And some bikes are even dragging their case covers.
Yeah, if I think that was a problem at the ridge too, because the curbs were so high and the all the elevation change, they were dragging engine covers.
And body work. Sometimes
Yeah,
we drag
and
body
belly
work.
covers.
And
That's a big thing on 400s. We'll scrape our belly pans.
do you put like a heat shield or material at the bottom, or you just let it go?
We've always just let it go. I think that's what the other people are doing too.
Anyway, it's lighter that way, right?
Yeah, it's weight reduction. It's all part of the strategy.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's cool to see you still trying to be at it and shooting for it. That's what I'm trying to do still. You know, I've been out of it for a couple of years for road racing, but this year I don't think I talked about it, but I've gotten into supermoto. So I don't own a supermoto bike, but I did some 150, 250, and 450 riding. Actually, I think it was XR 100. But either way. Been borrowing my buddy's bike, and I did 3 supermoto track days with you know, dirt and a jump and pavement mix. And then I did a car track day weekend with a Chevy Malibu, so a completely stock road car. I took that to the racetrack and had a blast with it. And I did 8 corner working track marshal weekends so far. So I'll actually be going down to Daytona January 7th through 9th for the ARMA event. And hopefully be going back for the Daytona 200 later in March.
I'll probably be there for that too.
Nice. So I hope, I wish I was riding, but I'll be working that event and just making money and being in nice sunny Florida and getting some content for my podcast and meeting some racers.
Yep, it's the name of the game.
And hopefully selling products all the time, you know, while I'm down there. My business can operate, it doesn't matter what I do, as long as the products are online, I can be selling them. So that's the beauty of it.
Right.
So I see you're wearing a Keegan Brown t-shirt. Is that some of your merch?
Yeah, this I wouldn't say merch as of right now. We started this shirt before the beginning of last season, kind of as you know, it's gonna be my first year in Moto America, so we want to do something special. So we made a certain number of these, gave them out to people on our own tracks. It was really fun. We're working on stuff like websites and all that kind of stuff. We're working on that, and I'm sure we'll have some kind of merch or another t-shirt kind of deal like this or hats or whatever before the Moto America season starts. So there will definitely be more of this. I just don't know when.
Sure. And something that I bought from you guys, I thought was really cool, is a holographic sports card you had made.
Yeah, we have those too, and we're still giving a lot of those out. I have, I think, 4 packs in my room right now, just waiting. So we're definitely, we love doing stuff like that. We love giving back to people who give back to us or even show up to races. So yeah, we're gonna do a lot more of that. It's just we don't know what it will be yet or who it will be with.
Sure. Should try to get some like sprockets with Keegan Brown initialed on them or something. I don't know. Get some like that's how Rossi makes a lot of money, right? He'll sell like hats with his name on it or
Yeah,
boots branded with Rossi on them.
yeah, I'd love to do some stuff like that.
Like some private labeling, Keegan Brown gear. Pretty cool. And so, what have you been studying in school lately in your meantime?
Well, pretty much the normal high school classes and math too, English, all that stuff. I've been doing a lot with ROTC too. My plan, if racing doesn't work out, is I'd love to go into the Air Force. And I mean, my dream is to fly in the Air Force, but that takes a lot of work. And I'm still working for that, but I've also loved to just, work in the Air Force or with or around planes. So yeah, I've been doing a lot with ROTC, trying to figure all that stuff out and figure out what I want to do after high school.
Yeah, it's a big part of life, right? It starts. It's gonna start happening pretty quick. And
Yeah.
I always thought being a motorcycle racer, I could probably fly a plane pretty well because you got to have a certain type of concentration and focus and aptitude
Yeah.
with your physical abilities. So I'm sure that it'd be right up your alley. I mean, going fast and it's just very much more risky, and it's a lot more expensive machine.
Oh yeah, a lot more expensive.
Couple $1 million sometimes, depending on what you're flying.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, planes and stuff like that. I've always wanted to do that ever since I was little. Because my dad, while he's been in the motorcycle industry a lot, when I was little, he used to work for Atlantic Aero, which was they I think sold parts or brought in parts from other companies and sold them. So I was around Cessnas and smaller jets and stuff a lot when I was little. So that's always been something I want to do. And I think it's not too far off to think that I could get my license and fly. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
I know a couple of people, one who has a helicopter license and one who has his commercial pilot's license for flying
Yeah,
like jumbo jets and all that stuff. So
that's awesome.
they're both doing very well financially, it seems like. So it can't be a bad deal. It's just you gotta obviously do everything right and follow all the guidelines and take all the right tests because you got people's lives in your hand. It's a big responsibility,
Yeah,
but
it is.
I've always thought, give me the responsibility because that's where you're gonna make the money. I mean, if you can handle that safely, then you can get the big paychecks.
Yep.
Is there any particular plane you have in mind, or any models you love and near and dear to your heart? Are you like a model plane guy, like ones in your room type of thing?
I used to be, but not so much anymore. As far as the Air Force goes, I'm in love with the A-10. I think it's just a really cool plane, but that switches up a lot. Like I love the F-35 too. Just any kind of fighter jet or air to ground jet. I love planes. So yeah, anything. It would be like an honor to fly anything in the Air Force. It's such a high job. So yeah, I'd have to say A-10. But if I could fly any plane, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah. And even if you don't fly them, I hear that working on them, being an airplane mechanic, pays extremely well as also. So I mean,
Probably
there's a
pays a little
guy.
bit more.
Yeah, there's a guy I know also who's an airplane mechanic, and he races all the time. And
Yeah,
well, that must be how you can afford it.
yeah. I'd love to work on them too. That's kind of another backup plan because I've been working on all my bikes and adjusting and all that stuff since I was little. So I've always thought of being a mechanic or working with bikes or cars or planes, anything like that. And it's really interesting to me too.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for going to college and being book smart, and I think that's great. But there's also, learning a trade and being hands-on it pays very well. And nowadays, there's a shortage of people doing that, I think. So there's
Yep.
always a need for it. Yes, you might not be able to do it remotely, but you make money a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got a couple minutes left. I think we're going to stick to about an hour today. I got a few things left. I've still been uploading Revit, working on trousers lately, because trousers are unique in that they have a third size. There's like a short, medium, short, long, standard sizing for the size type, and then they have the size for 32, 33, 34 sizing, and then there's a color. So this is the first one that I had 3 different variants on it. So I figured out how to do that, and I was uploading some of them, making sure they're online. Um, but yeah, I'm just so excited to be uploading all these products finally. I've been working on them for so long, and since we talked, I think I added a couple brands. I'm up to, I think it's 34 brands of products now. So if you guys ever need anything for your race program, I have I have race suits now, gloves. I have off-road helmets for motocross and bicycle helmets. I have hard parts for rear sets and clip-ons and sprockets, chains. I got brake lines. I have takeoff tires, although you probably wouldn't want those. A little bit of everything, man. I just got a new brand. The newest brand I got is Rizoma, which is I just heard of, but it's an awesome brand. And one of my vendors just added. They have like stealth-looking mirrors for the surface. They look really slick. Look like they have carbon fiber look on them. Just look really stealth and sleek.
Nice.
So
Nice to see you doing well.
just expanding and trying to sell as much stuff as possible so I can be out there battling with you.
Yeah, I'd love to ride with you sometime.
For sure. You know, I'd like to get a 400 just so I could do street riding again, but then I'd probably end up taking it to the track.
Yeah.
Because I never had a 400. I had a 250 Kawasaki back in 08. That was the lightweight bike back then, but
Yeah.
I never took that to the racetrack. So, I mean, the lines are always different from the 250s to the 600 or the 400s to the 600s. So it's a whole new line, but just gotta use the bike to its advantages.
Yeah.
Characteristics.
400s are great bikes, and a lot of people stay away from the lightweight bikes because I guess they're considered beginner bikes or whatever you want to call them. But 400s are a lot of fun, and I've ridden tons of different bikes. I mean, I've gone from 125s, 250s, 300s, 600s, all of them. And the 400 is like a good medium. It's not too powerful, but it's not super slow either. It's just really, it's a really good bike for finding every single thing that you're doing wrong in a corner.
Still goes about 110 miles an hour, right?
I think a club 400 you can get 130, like
Oh, wow.
pretty good. Oh yeah, but the Moto America bikes are restricted, and I think it's all under 120. But I honestly couldn't tell you what our speeds were.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're a lot of fun, and they're easy, and they used to be cheap before they all got bought up and COVID came along and messed everything up. But they're affordable, they're fun, good looking. I mean, I see nothing wrong with 400.
You don't go through tires like crazy. I mean, you could use, how long do you normally use a set of tires on a 400?
For club events, if I'm just running the Dunlop slicks, probably 2 events. I mean, but that's, professional rider, and slicks don't hold a lot. But I did run the Q3 once for that champ school, but then I ran it for like 4 track days afterwards, and I ran them at Summit Point. I had to change them because it rained, but right before I was running them, and the left side looked like slicks, and it was completely fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still gripping just as good. So if you get the right DOT tire, I mean, you can run it 5 track days easily.
Wow. And do you have any issue flipping the tire? Like if you're on a predominantly clockwise circuit, can you flip the tire and get it use out of it the other direction?
I honestly don't know. I've never had that issue.
Okay. We used to do that with some of the Michelins, but some people say you're not supposed to because certain tires will delaminate if you run them the opposite direction.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to figure that out. I've never really had any problems with that.
Okay, yeah, I just wondered if that's something that you did. And so, what do you think the best bike in the 400 class is? Do you think it's the Kawi or the Yamaha, or is there a different bike that you would point to, the 390 KTM maybe?
Well, actually, right now, I mean, I've ridden the 400 for 2 years now. I love it. It's a great bike. It's a cheap and affordable, and it's just a good overall bike. And right now, I believe it's the fastest. I think the second best to the 400 would be the KTM. But the problem with anything other than Kawasaki right now in Junior Cup is you got to build them a lot to get them to make enough power. And have enough speed to keep up with the 400s. But once you get to the point where they're really nice and built and with a good rider, they're just as good, if not better. And the KTM's making a good rebound now. It's coming back since Tyler Scott was able to win on it this year. So yeah, I think overall it's Sikawi, but KTM is upping their game, and I think they're paying a little bit more attention now in Junior Cup. So we don't know yet. Next season it might be completely the opposite.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to balance them out pretty well. So they're all a good choice, and they just have their own unique characteristics to help them out.
Yeah, the 400 is the best power plant. It's the fastest, and I don't know about weight. I think it might be the lightest. It might be, but the problem with the R3s is just not quick enough. It actually sits a lot better. I've heard that racing and riding the R3 feels a lot better. It just doesn't have the guts. And I've never had the chance to throw a leg over a KTM, and I don't honestly know that many people who have, but I'm guessing it has the same problem where it's just not enough power to keep up with the 400s.
I gotcha. And where can people find you online?
Keegan Brown Racing, pretty much any platform except for Twitter. We do have it, but we don't use it much. Keegan Brown Racing or Rowdy's Racing. Yeah, give us a follow, check us out. We're posting every week pretty much. All
right, well, I'm gonna take some time, get this edited and posted, and I'll be sure to tag you and tag everybody we talked about. If we didn't talk about as many people, who is somebody on your mind that is an up-and-comer that you got your eye on?
There was a kid I used to ride with a lot in CCS named Yandel Medina, I believe. But he was able to run one round last season in Moto America, and it was at Alabama, so it got rained out. But he did really well, and I mean, he was running with a lot of the faster guys in CCS, and he's a really good kid, and really, like, he just doesn't care. He goes fast. That's just what he wants to do. So I really think he's gonna do good this year. And hopefully I can be right there with him, I hope.
Heck yeah, well, I'll be rooting for you, and I'll look for you out there for sure.
Thanks.
All right, man. Thanks for talking to me, and I'll talk to you real soon.
Talk to you too.
All right, bye-bye.